This video was supposed to be a build video based around using the Hat of Storm Scion's power as a way to show another way to gain Arcane Acuity that isn't just the usual, more popular items of the Helmet of Arcane Acuity or the Hat of Fire Acuity. The Hat of Storm Scion's power is often overlooked and neglected as if it's in the same league as True Strike or something. But in this video I will show you several ways to make use of the item and why it can be a good choice for your hat slot, potentially allowing other characters to use the other amazing helmets. I actually went through about 6 iterations of builds based on this item, and in the end I couldn't pick just one, as if I was some sort of doppelganger. So instead I thought I would show you what combinations we need to look out for that can make good use of this item. Before I show you a few builds and item combinations, we should look at the hat itself and see what it can do. It is available in Act 2 from your local blood fetishist, Araj or Blodra, which means you can get it at the beginning of the act, as we can just waltz into Moonrise Towers and speak to her. Here we can see that it gives a single ability, Thunderous Acuity, which gives the wearer Arcane Acuity whenever they deal thunder damage. To fully understand this, we need to know what Arcane Acuity does, which is to increase spell attack rolls and, I would say more importantly, spell save DC total for each turn remaining of the condition. For example, if your character had 5 turns left of Arcane Acuity, then they would have a +5 bonus to spell attack rolls and their spell save DC would increase by 5. Every turn the duration reduces by 1, and each time the character takes damage the duration is reduced by 2. In other words, to get the maximum bonus and maintain it, which is a +10, we need to continuously gain the condition. If we go back to the hat, we can see that we have to deal thunder damage. What isn't explained here is that for each instance of thunder damage we cause, we gain 2 turns of Arcane Acuity. So what's the easiest way to get up to 10 stacks of Arcane Acuity by using this hat? Perhaps you're screaming out Thunder Wave, or It's Shatter, or CVG. It's obviously one of your favourite spells, Destructive Wave. Lae'zel's response to all of these ideas would either be Kanyak, or perhaps K'Chucky. However, I am more understanding, and what the game doesn't tell us is that when we use an area of effect spell that causes thunder damage, it only adds 2 stacks of Arcane Acuity, rather than 2 stacks per creature hit. There is no explanation for this, no reasoning given, and it's just something we've got to accept. This is why the other 2 helmets are often seen as better, as the Helmet of Arcane Acuity increases Arcane Acuity using weapon attacks, to which we say thank you to the ranged flourish of a swords bard, and the Hat of Fire Acuity works perfectly well with Scorching Ray, since each ray is a separate attack, each of which increases the stack of Arcane Acuity by 2. What this tells us is that we need to look for ways to cause thunder damage on a hit, or ways to cause many separate sources of thunder damage in a single turn. The first item that came to mind that can fulfill the first method is a quarterstaff named Cacophony, which is available to buy from Esther, the trader hanging around near the Triater Crags waypoint. This quarterstaff deals 1d4 thunder damage on a hit, and grants access to the Thunderous Smite spell. So I first thought to pair this with a paladin, as they also get access to Thunderous Smite, and I like to follow themes where I can, since it's common knowledge in paladin circles that 2 smites better than 1. This works out okay at best. The problem came from the fact that paladins can't make much use of the Arcane Acuity stacks, as most of the spells don't heavily rely upon spell attacks or saving throws in the first place. So the next build idea was a multi-class Eldritch Knight 11 Wizard 1, and this is so that we can make 3 attacks per turn and build the Arcane Acuity stacks faster, plus the bonus of having Action Surge to potentially get 10 stacks in 1 turn. However, the build suffers from the same fate as the Paladin, as the number and level of spell slots is very limited. Scrolls could be used effectively, but I don't want my builds to be reliant on farming gold or stealing. It's just not my style, and I don't enjoy doing it frequently. However, if that's your thing, then this option could work well for you. We could actually use any weapon in conjunction with the spell Elemental Weapon, but it's a concentration spell and I don't want to rely upon a level 3 spell. The Drakethroat Glaive, available in Act 2, can also work very well, especially when cast on a ranged weapon when an arrow of many targets is used, or potentially a hunter ranger using volley. This version of Elemental Weapon is not a concentration spell, so once you've cast it you can unequip the glaive and then just use your weapon and it will deal extra thunder damage. Now using an arrow of many targets has the same problem as me for scrolls, in that I need to farm these arrows, and the latter, using a ranger, suffers from the same problems as the fighter and paladin builds with spell selection and spell slots. But there are some more weapons that deal thunder damage to talk about though before I give up on the use of weapons. Next, and probably one of the stronger choices, is Hamarhraft, which is found in Warkeen's Rest in Act 1, which causes a small thunderous explosion whenever you jump. The first class that jumped out at me was a monk, and specifically a 4 elements monk. This is because all monks can jump many times in a turn using Step of the Wind, and handily the Maul grants 2 turns of Arcane Acuity each time we jump and cause thunder damage. A 4 elements monk is useful because they use abilities that are effectively spells. Also in Act 3 it is possible to buy the Thunder Palm Strikers, which cause our unarmed attacks to deal thunder damage and grants a once per long rest use of Thunder Wave cast at level 3. I thought this was kind of cool because we don't see much love for 4 element monks. However, there is another way to use Hamarhraft apart from just jumping. I have no idea if this was intended or if it's a bug that's not been removed, but Hamarhraft also lets out a shockwave when we land after flying. This opens up many possibilities. If you're happy to use consumables, there are potions of flying and scrolls that grant flight. Sorcerers, warlocks, wizards, Circle of the Land Druids and bards via the magical secrets can all learn the spell grant flight. The spell only lasts 10 turns however, and it's also a concentration spell, so it does have drawbacks, but you could use any of those classes and have a build that uses the Hat of Storm Scion's power. Storm sorcerers can fly for free after casting a level 1 spell or higher, and Draconic Ancestry sorcerers can fly permanently at level 11. Do you know what other lovely creatures can also fly? Half-illithids. Which means if you wait until Act 3, any class can use this hat if they wield the Maul, which you don't need to be proficient in by the way, and fly around, gaining stacks of Arcane Acuity. At this point, as long as you've got spells to cast, and you're gaining stacks by flying around, you will be a very strong spellcaster. I should also probably mention the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel here, which is found in the jungles of Chult in Act 3, and which lets us cast an illusion or enchantment spell as a bonus action after we hit a creature with a weapon attack. Notable low-level examples of such spells are Command and Hold Person. However, any control spell can be debilitating for the enemy if they are guaranteed to fail their saving throw because our spell save DC is so high from the 10 stacks of Arcane Acuity. So wizards, sorcerers, warlocks, clerics, druids, bards, pretty much any full caster or equivalent could benefit greatly from this. I did mention there are other weapons, such as the Punch Drunk Bastard, which is found in the Waning Moon in Act 2. This blast also increases the stacks of Arcane Acuity, but requires you to be drunk first, which in the game is called the alcohol condition. This is cool, but requires a bonus action every few turns, as the alcohol condition only lasts for 2 turns, and you need to drink more alcohol to top it up, and I don't think it can really compare to flying around with Hamarhraft and getting basically 10 stacks in 1 turn. And we'll be saving the most confusing combination of items for last, but before we do, there are a few more items that grant ways of dealing thunder damage, which I feel like I should include, but I don't think are particularly good candidates for gaining stacks of Arcane Acuity. There is Nirulna, the legendary item which is found again in the jungles of Chult, which can grant 2 stacks of Arcane Acuity every time it's thrown. But this has the same limitations as Cacophony at the end of the day, as amazing as the weapon is. Marker Heshkir grants 2 spells that cause thunder damage once per short rest. However, they are area of effect spells, and so only 2 stacks of Arcane Acuity can be gained per turn, not enough to make the hat useful. There are some other items, such as the Corpse Grinder, Sentient Amulet, and Ring of Absolute Force, all of which grant abilities that cause thunder damage, usually spells. However, they are limited to once per short or long rest, and so they can't be relied upon turn after turn. Which leaves us with the last item, or combination of items really, Phalar, Aluve, and anything that causes Reverberation. Phalar Aluve is found in the Underdark in Act 1, which has a weapon ability called Shriek, which means the nearby targets take thunder damage when they are hit. If you manage to get 5 stacks of Reverberation on a target, and they fail a Constitution saving throw, then they will fall prone and take 1d4 thunder damage. This all sounds great, but when we test it out, no stacks of Arcane Acuity are given from the hat, which is a shame. However, at least that's all the testing done. Which would be true if things didn't work differently between Tactician and Honor mode, for reasons beyond my comprehension. While this does not work in Tactician difficulty, this combination of items absolutely works in Honor mode. I've spawned in the necessary items into an Honor mode run and given enough experience to Lae'zel to get her to level 12 so she doesn't die. Lo and behold, when she walks around, she gains stacks of Arcane Acuity. For once, we have things easier in Honor mode than in Tactician. I have no idea if this will be changed in a future patch, but at the time of recording, this is how things work out. I hope you now have an understanding of how this pretty cool hat works, and don't neglect it. Don't be like Scratch's former owner, Mahia, however you say her name. Give some love to this item, and don't always overlook it for its seemingly cooler counterparts. Thank you for watching, and to all the members of my channel, let me know if you enjoyed this slightly more deep dive into one particular item, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Come back anytime.